Good evening. I'd say this morning, it's not actually, but there you go. So what we're going to do today, it's Father's Day. Father's Day is coming up here in the UK, and I'm sure other places around the world at different times as well. As I said, when I did an intro video for this, and fathers at the moment, we're either going to work or we're at home. There's not much in between, but a lot more people are going into the garden. And with that in mind, I thought, let's do something with this wonderful set. This is called Garden Shed. The dies are much bigger than they appear on the artwork, but we're going to do something fun with this. We're also going to use our Brickwork embossing folder. That's a 3D embossing folder from Tim Holtz. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Now I'm going to start by cutting some of those lovely dies, and I've got here, there's my sunflower, there's some leaves, there's the Wellington boot and the strap and the center of the sunflower. Some of them I've actually pre-cut to save a little bit of time and effort, so I'm going to put all of those onto my platform sandwiched between the two cutting blades. Now today you'll notice I'm using my Sizzix Big Shot machine, the classic Big Shot, and cuts like a knife through butter. There we are. So they're all ready to go. Lovely clean cuts. So there's my Wellington boot. There's a little strap which grows across the top. Now, that's it. If Andy comes in here close, you'll see a little buckle which I cut, again, using this self-same die, but from a slightly different colour. There's the centre of my flower, my sunflower, and that lovely foliage. Now, I'll put these to one side because there's something else I want to talk about. So we want to talk about harmony. So I've chosen, this is from the Sizzix Cardstock pack alongside some ivory from the Neutrals pack. Now, what I want, when I'm creating a card, I want harmony. So I'm not choosing too many colours. I'm not choosing colours that clash. And when you get the Sizzix Cardstock pack, it's hard to make colours clash anyway because they're very carefully chosen. But what we've got here is 3 shades of green and this lovely almost toffee colour here. So what I want them to do, when I put them on the card, I want them to echo. I want the different colours to pick up at different points. And this is all about composition, compositional harmony. And a big way of achieving that is through using colour. So let's get back to my die cuts. Now I'm going to use, this is antique linen, and I could use this for the edge of the cards, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the edge of the die cuts, rather, I should say. So I'm going to go around the edge. It's a lovely warm colour, antique linen. So you see when I go around the edge of this flower here, it just imparts a warmth. It's very subtle. You can barely see it in truth. So I'm going to switch from that, and I'll just pop my sponge underneath. This is the Sizzix blending tool head for the multi-tool. Incidentally, if you haven't seen this before, I don't know if you'll find it on our website, because in truth, I think it may be one of those items which has sold out recently. It has proved so popular since its launch earlier in the year. Now I'm going to use this. This is Vintage Photo. And with this, I'm just going to go around the edge of this Wellington boot. And that will give it contrast. When I place everything onto the card, can you see there? Can you see the contrast around the edge? It's quite subtle, but it's there nonetheless. And it bears fruit when we come to put everything together. I'm going to do the same with this strap, and I'm holding it with my Sizzix tweezers just to make sure it doesn't go flying off. And we'll do the same with this fella on the edge of the leaves, like so. Now, that done, we'll assemble everything. I've got some which I've assembled already. So that's a different yellow. These are two, that's limoncello and that is banana blast. Those are the names of the colours. I'm going to apply some adhesive, some of my Sizzix Express glue to the craft mat, and we'll kind of get that overlapping. And you can see there the difference, having two distinctly different, although the difference is subtle, but it does make a difference. And there's the center die cut, the one that we made earlier. Now with this lovely Wellington boot, what I'm going to do is take the buckle, pop it onto there like so, and then before I do anything else, what I'm going to do is take the edge of my tweezers and just curl that up, and that's going to give me a little bit of dimension. So I have that coming out there. And you can see there, you can see that lovely detail. These little things, they make all the difference. It's that care and attention in the design that really make the difference with these die cuts. So that's all done. All my die cuts are ready to go. The next thing I want to do is create a background. Now I'm creating the background with this. This is Brickwork. This is from Tim Holtz. It's a what? Well, I mean, you can see exactly what it is, and the name is a bit of a giveaway, I must be honest. But one of the lovely things about this is the level of detail. There is so much detail that has been so carefully designed. All those little cracks, all those little creases where the brick's crumbling away, it's all there. And we're going to emboss today. We're going to emboss with some ivory card. Now, what I want to do is, if I take my spray bottle, I'm going to spritz front and back. Now, we've talked about this before, but it is quite important, especially with an embossing folder like this, because it gives a very deep emboss. Now, because of that depth, it puts the pressure under a lot of, puts the paper or card under a lot of pressure. So what we don't want happening is that those fibers split and tear. That would be a disaster, especially if we're inking it afterwards. So when we spritz it, when the water sinks into the card, it allows the fibers to stretch. So as it runs through the machine, we get a really deep, clean emboss. And after it's stretched, after it dries, it sets rock solid. So I'll take my machine and I'll remove the top part of the platform and use just one single cutting plate. Very important with 3D folders. If you get the sandwich wrong, it's okay, the machine will tell you. You just back it off and use the right sandwich. Now, one thing I ought to add actually, with 3D embossing folders, it's always good, bearing in mind that these fibers stretch, to run it back and two about 3 times. Very important. You do get a cleaner, deeper emboss using that method. And there we have it. Now, check this out. Look at the detail in there. Isn't that phenomenal? It really is something else. I know my friend Josh, he absolutely adores this embossing board, not just because of the design, but because of the way that it works. That depth, it's staggering every time. It takes us by surprise. That's one of the great things about Sizzix. So we will now take our antique linen embossing folder, because I want to just give this a bit of definition, because I'm putting the ivory brickwork onto ivory card. So I just want to get some definition around the outside. Now this is one that I made earlier, and this is one that has dried out completely. So rather than you sit at home and watch me drying it with a heat tool, which is not the most exciting thing you can do, to be honest with you, I'm actually going to go over this, and you can see that this antique linen now, this warm colour, is actually lifting the detail. It's giving definition. It's keeping the mortar in between the bricks white. So you're getting a real sense of a brick wall. So now with my walnut staining, the darkest, I'm going around the edge. I'm not going too deep into this. I'm touching it very lightly. I'm almost just kissing the paper rather than going too heavy. So there we are. There is my brickwork. So we've got that lovely contrast going. Thank you, Andy. Nice close-up. So we're coming in around those edges. It's going to give me the definition that I need. Now, before I put it all together, I've used a couple of Tim's alphanumeric alphabets. There are many different ones. Check the website. check with your favourite retailer. So there's 2 alphanumeric die sets. Dad, big boots to fill. Now, let's take my background first, and I'm going to use some double-sided tape for this. We'll go diagonally. I know that we like to completely cover from edge to edge sometimes with double-sided tape, and you know what, normally that is exactly what I would do, but today, to save a bit of time, we're just putting the one strip, so somewhere around there. So I've got it parallel to the edge and it's level with the top of depth, and that is what we talk about with composition. You know, so we've got the distance between there and there, roughly the same. It's level with the top there. So that's a good start. That's the basics, and we'll talk about the harmonious composition with the colours in a second as well. Now let's take one of the boots, and I will apply a little glue. I'm going to get that down there like so. Then the next one, I'm going to use a couple of 3D foam pads. So this will give me a bit of depth between the 2 boots, give it the sense that we're looking into the picture. So there's the second boot. Now, when I was talking about harmony, you know, we've got the green of the letters there balancing with the green of the boots. So that makes a big difference when we come to the compositional qualities of this. Here is one of the sunflowers, which I made earlier, and we're going to get that coming in there. Now we've also used a different kind of green for this one, and that actually, this green, compositionally speaking, is picking up the green from the buckles. It's the same green entirely. So let's put that flower there. And you know what, we could, I'm just deciding what to do. Now here's a flower pot. Here's one that I made earlier and attached the, or rather applied the walnut stain ink to that. So we'll put the flower pot sort of resting there. We've made a trowel from silver card, and again, that green, that paler green, that, again, there, the buckle, and that. So we've got that compositionally going on, so it's echoing that colour. Then we'll take some foliage, which I've pre-cut. That can come out there, about there, I think. And then finally, we'll take our last sunflower and pop it down there. So, if I put that there for Andy to show you what we've got, you see we've got the yellow, that's adding a lovely splash. It also is picked up in that antique linen around here, so there are echoes there. We've got the pale greens coming through, that lovely green tea colour, I think that one's called. Now we've got these 2 very rich greens, that leaf green there. We've got the brown flower pot, and that is echoed in the brown of the fonts here. So that's why it goes together. I hope, I mean, let me know if you don't think so, but I hope it lends it a kind of harmony. It's kept it to a very minimalistic colour palette, and I think it's quite a masculine colour palette. There's no such thing as masculine, feminine, but you know, traditional dad colours. That's what I was thinking. But there is one other thing. Now we said at the start, stacked tiles squares. This is a wonderful set from Tim. There's also a hexagon set and a circle set, and in the set you are getting 25 different dies. So that's 5 sets of 5. Now, why do you need more than one? Well, you can do multiple cuts for creating backgrounds, and I want to show you something now. Now, Andy's a bit younger than me, but you remember Top of the Pops in the set? Yes, he's nodding away. He remembers Top of the Pops. And This is one I made the other day. This is Top Pop, and as you can see, I die cut the phrase using, so it's not a square now, it's a diamond because I set it at 45 degrees. Also, the background, those tiles, that's using a neutral cardstock. This is neutrals, and we put that background. You couldn't get more dad than that, could you? You couldn't get more dad and more 70s than that card. That really is 1970s. Andy was a baby, barely remembers it, baby arms. Well, that's it. That's been my little Father's Day make. I'm sure there's lots more on the way from the rest of the team. Thank you very much for watching today, and check out all our other designers on Facebook. There's some fantastic stuff coming up. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Pete. He's been Andy. See you again.